Hello, and a good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are around the world, and welcome to today's LLM Insights. Today, we're with the University of Buffalo School of Law, who very shortly will be taking you through a slide deck presentation, talking through the different opportunities that await for you at the School of Law at the University of Buffalo. Northeast of USA has been a really popular edition of this year's festival. We've heard yesterday from New Hampshire, we've heard from Suffolk Law School, we've also heard from Boston and many other law schools also. So I'm anticipating an extremely popular session once again, live and on demand. Just a reminder, today's session is live. If you have any questions, please pop it in the chat or the Q&A facility. We will try and get around to your questions throughout the Q&A towards the end of the session, as per usual. So please just make sure you pop your questions in the Q&A box. If you feel that you want to say hi, just say where you're from and where you're watching from today, please do so in the chat. Be more than happy to hear from you. We will communicate back with you. And if you have any questions, please email webinars@postgradsolutions.com. But for now, I'd like to hand you over to Kate. She's the manager for recruitment and international enrollment. We had a quick chat off air. Kate deals with a lot of the admissions and applications that come in. So questions would be very wise to point in her direction. And we'll look forward to hearing from her in the next 20 to 30 minutes and then the Q&A afterwards. Kate, over to you.
Hi, everyone. I'm so glad you're all here today, joining from wherever you may be. I am, as Garrett said, the manager for recruitment and international enrollment, which means that I am the point person for every internationally trained and international applicant at the UB School of Law. So I have lots of good information to share with you today. I think it's really important to say that you don't have to remember all of this right now. I'm available. You can send me emails, you can set up appointments. So this can be an ongoing discussion if you want it to be. So we'll get into it, and I'm going to share a little bit about the UB School of Law and LLM opportunities. So first and foremost, the University of Buffalo is the only law school in the State University of New York system. Why is this a big deal? So SUNY is well known for its robust support of the State University of New York school system. And we are the only law school amongst more than 60 schools, the only law school. We also have a long-standing history as we were founded more than 138 years ago. So we have this under our belt, as you say. The other thing that's really important to know about University of Buffalo is that we have a very strong international presence and commitment to international education. In some circles, it's even called the University of Buffalo International Model because we've been partnering and building these international relationships for a very long time. So you would be potentially among many diverse international students at the University at Buffalo. I believe in the last 2 years, we've welcomed students from over 105 countries. So many different people from many walks of life join us at the University at Buffalo. It's also important to tell you before we move into kind of the information of this session, where we're located. So people hear New York and they think New York City, Manhattan. And yes, that's one of the most famous areas of our state, but we are a big state. And University at Buffalo is located in Western New York. So we're actually closer to Niagara Falls and Canada than we are to Manhattan. It's only about an hour by plane. So if you want to go and visit, or maybe you have family there, it's very accessible, but it's not in Manhattan. In fact, it's about 6 hours by car. So something to keep in mind. So one of the things that I hear most often is, how can I get to practice? So the legal system in the United States is different. The first degree in law is the JD degree. So this is often popping up, like the JD degree. What does that mean? We don't have any first degrees in laws that are like an LLB, where you take 5 years and graduate with access to bar eligibility. In fact, you have to do 4 years of undergrad to earn a bachelor's degree, and then do the JD, which is actually considered a Juris Doctorate degree. This is the most known degree path in the United States because it's the most common. That doesn't mean it's better or that it opens more doors. It's just more known. Foreign trained attorneys have two options for earning eligibility to practice in New York State. So one option is the advanced standing JD. This is a shortened program done in 2 years. It has many benefits. University of Buffalo offers this. We're not going to get into that today because we're here to talk about LLMs, but it is an option for you if you're looking to have a JD qualification. And then, of course, as I mentioned before, we have LLM programs. So we're going to talk about what the LLM from a New York State school can offer you in terms of bar eligibility and also in terms of curricular options. So New York bar eligibility. This is really the big piece to this. New York bar is especially friendly to foreign trained attorneys. So regardless of where you were to earn an LLM, there's a high likelihood that you would sit for the New York bar. That being said, we're in New York. We train all of our students to sit for this exam, right? So that in and of itself is a benefit to studying at the University of Buffalo, is that we're going to train you to sit for this exam to earn your licensure in New York State, potentially. So the New York Board of Legal Education says that you can have a first degree in law, but you have to cure this degree, these are their words, not mine, in order to be eligible to sit for the bar. And that is by earning an LLM from an accredited institution. The ABA, or American Bar Association, determines who the accredited institutions are. University of Buffalo is an accredited institution. So there are a few steps as well. You need to have 24 credits of in-person study. This is very important. New York State Bar does not recognize courses that are not sat in person. Very important. Or it has to be more than 75% in person. It's very finicky. As you know, the law is very policy oriented. So we'll just stick it with in-person study. We also have the requirement of intro to US legal writing, intro to US legal systems, as well as a minimum of 2 bar subjects equaling 6 credits of study. Okay, so like I said, you don't have to remember this now. This is just the quick outline of what that might look like. So that would probably be 1 semester of work in a typically 2-semester program. Again, you'll work with an advisor to pick the appropriate courses. And as we get into our specific LLM programs, you'll find out more about those program requirements and how you can combine them with bar eligibility. So the University at Buffalo offers 3 LLM programs. We have a General LL.M, a Cross-Border Legal Studies LL.M, and a Criminal Law LL.M. So the General LL.M is perhaps the most flexible option, and many pursue General LL.M just because it gives them the opportunity to build their own curriculum. So again, 24 credits required to graduate, typically 2 semesters. And this does include a minimum of 3 credits of experiential learning. So experiential learning is vast. There's many opportunities for experiential learning, but because of the nature of the LLM being a very short program, this is most frequently accomplished through an externship. So with an externship, you're placed in a partner institution or company with their legal team, and you're working under the team of attorneys at that institution or faculty. There are also 2 credits of legal research and writing in the General LL.M, as well as the Introduction to United States Legal System. These are our 2 required courses for any LLM curriculum. The remainder is elective based, and you have access to nearly all of the JD offerings. So this is going to be an integrated learning classroom with LLM students alongside our JD students. We have so many classes in so many areas, which means that you can really hone in to the specific things that you have an interest in to obtain the outcomes that you're looking for. Another option is our cross-border legal studies LLM. So this is truly encapsulating a lot of these international opportunities. So you can see just from the little blurb that this is cross-border interactions, trade, tax, immigration, real estate, corporate transactional issues. As I mentioned earlier, we are located very close to Canada. In fact, I was in Canada on Monday and yesterday, speaking to Canadian perspectives about attending the University of Buffalo. From my door to Canada proper, it takes roughly 15 minutes. So when I say we're close, I mean we're very close. We're next door neighbors, in fact. So our director has cultivated incredible relationships, especially in nearby Canada, but around the world. And she brings this to students to help further the dialogue around these topics. Legal collaboration, developing through your capstone, you'll be able to dig into these things further. And you'll work very closely with our alumni network internationally, as well as our community partners. And a lot of these relationships will serve as informal mentors to the students in this program. And finally, we offer a criminal law LLM at the University of Buffalo. So this is one of the only post-professional programs in New York State that's devoted exclusively to the law of criminal law. We see a lot of students who intend to go back and work in their judicial system who are attracted to the criminal law LLM. But as it says here, they might go on to teach, do policy work, or even serve as prosecutors or judges at home. So this is going to work very similarly to our other LLM programs. You have to do the legal research and writing, as well as the introduction to US legal systems and the credits of experiential learning. That's standard across any of the LLMs. However, this also requires a criminal law colloquium, which is a writing requirement, as well as criminal law, criminal procedure or investigation, or evidence and criminal procedure adjudication. These are specific course works that are required in order to graduate with the criminal law LLM. The remainder of your courses are going to be elective based, and you can combine this with the bar eligibility requirements. It's important that you tell your advisor that you want to achieve bar eligibility, so you build your course structure accordingly. Okay, this is probably one of the biggest questions of this whole conversation. What are the benefits of an LLM, right? And many of you can do an LLM anywhere. So there are definitely tangible as well as intangible benefits to earning an LLM. So I mentioned to our host that last week I was in India speaking with undergraduate law students about why would you want to come to New York State to study for an LLM? So first and foremost, moving from your home country to another country is a lesson in and of itself. There's an element of resilience that's developed. There is a sense of confidence and a trust in yourself. And then there's access to this incredible network that you wouldn't have access to at home. I myself did my graduate studies in another country, in a foreign language. So I know what it feels like to be an international student. And I know how valuable it is to go outside of your comfort zone to participate in your graduate studies, postgraduate studies. Um, it's an incredibly expansive opportunity. It's also participation in a rapidly evolving global discourse. Many areas of law are completely globalized and things are changing instantaneously, especially in areas like AI, IP, global contracts. So there's so many things that we can touch on. We're not going to get into it because we'll get too deep into the weeds. But basically, all of these things are part of a global discourse at this point. So moving to another place, exposing yourself to the ideas, the practice, the policy in that place expands not only your thinking, but your resources, and it allows you to bring the perspective from your home territory and discourse, but also it melds the two worlds, and you can take that anywhere you go. Additionally, there are lots of translatable skills that you obtain in an LLM program that you can take into the work culture when you move into your professional world, or that you can take back to your home university, your home employer. It's never going to be taken away from you what you learn skill-wise in your LLM program. Of course, there are job opportunities internationally. We know that the US looks incredibly chaotic right now in terms of the job market, but I can say from the perspective of somebody who has students here on the ground, we're having high levels of success. We are finding placements. Our students seem happy. Of course, we can always connect you to the students so you can hear their personal perspective. But in many cases, that's a much more reliable perspective than what we might hear in the media. And finally, dual licensure. Having access to the New York State Bar is very instrumental as you move through your career. It is a known bar, it carries a lot of weight, and it could expand your potentiality to practice in multiple locations. The New York State Bar is on the Universal Bar. So there are 44 states that are on this bar, right? Not all states are as friendly to foreign trained attorneys. However, your New York State Bar licensure does open a lot of doors. So that's a very quick overview of the benefits of an LLM. Okay, so when you get to law school, who's going to support you? How can you find success? So this is built in to the University of Buffalo. We actually pride ourselves in the level of support that we have for our students. So we're going to jump right into that. So first and foremost, when you arrive on campus, I'll be here to greet you. I am the international person, right? So you're meeting with the right person in this process. So we offer an extended orientation program called Jumpstart. All of our foreign trained attorneys participate in a 3-week program, which is intended to expose students to the fundamentals of the US legal system. So this is a small class environment with all of your foreign trained attorneys. It's a nice way to get to meet people in a safe and small setting. I've seen a lot of wonderful friendships made in our Jumpstart program, but it covers the essentials of reading and understanding case law, introductory legal writing concepts, utilizing and understanding legal vocabulary, and then you practice speaking, reading, writing, and listening to legal English. from an American perspective. One of the things that I've mentioned briefly when I was talking about the LLM program specifically is that these are intentionally small classes. And they're intentionally small because all of our LLM students work closely with the program director, um, and they become their advisor, right? So this is the program director, this is the faculty who is responsible for the specific LLM program. And they will work with you to choose all of your classes to help you as you're navigating what outcomes you're hoping to achieve. Um, and they're going to advise you on what are the best electives to take. How can you successfully write if you have a capstone that you're responsible for or a colloquium? They're really going to be your advocate, and also a source of hopefully inspiration, and certainly support. So one-to-one advising is huge. These are not 400 seat classrooms with 400 LLMs. We're looking at, extremely small class sizes. Your advisor will know you by name, and you'll be working closely with this strong connection and bespoke and flexible pathway towards graduation. When we talk about the law school in a larger context, we also have our Office of Student Affairs. Office of Student Affairs is incredible, and they're a huge advocate for you as you navigate, the difficulties of being a law student because it's time consuming, can be stressful. So they set up our peer-to-peer advocate program. So they actually match you with somebody else in the law school who is more advanced, to help you with anything that you might need in terms of classroom support or structural and functional support. We also have in-house counseling. So this is specific to the law school. You can go and talk to somebody if you are feeling specifically stressed. We have our faculty advisement program. We have disability accommodations. We have support for our student organizations. There's so many student organizations, including mock trial, moot court, student bar associations. There's lots of ways to get engaged on campus through Office of Student Affairs. And we also have many wellness events, and lots of opportunities for networking through Office of Student Affairs. Very important. We're all coming with the hope that this is going to further our opportunities in our career. So we have our Career Service Office. The Career Service Office is dedicated to helping you achieve the career outcomes that you desire. You'll have a personal advisor who will work with you to develop your resume, to improve your interview skills. Career Services is available to you for life. I think that that's really a key and important thing to remember is that at any point in your career, you can reach out to University of Buffalo School of Law Career Service Office, and they'll give you access to all of their job network. They'll help you as you're navigating the application process. And they might say, is this really what you're looking for? Or maybe you want to consider this. That in and of itself, I believe, is invaluable. But these are some of the other things that they offer: individual career counseling, student interview programs, online job postings. They have a mentor program with a community member who's already working in the field. They have career panels and programs, a public defender job fair, and then we have a massive career fair every February where we actually bring the employers to you. This is fairly rare, but our community really supports the law school, and they show up to help bring the students into the community for their professional career. And then this is another really important and University of Buffalo specific initiative. So in 2023, we created something called Rally the Pass. Rally the Pass is specifically intended to help support students who are studying for the bar. So the program offers guidance throughout the entire bar study process, from early planning to final review. We help students stay focused, confident, and on track. So, what does this actually mean? Access to dedicated full-time academic success faculty throughout the bar preparation process. Topic lectures by faculty and guests in fundamental exam areas. Workshops and seminars on test-taking strategies. Reserved private spaces in the law library for group and self-study. Complimentary breakfast and lunches are offered in the law library. It's very hard to get anything done when you're hungry, so we will feed you. Tuition waivers for bar prep courses for those demonstrating economic need. Maybe you need a little bit more support and more of a structured course. We will help you with that. Across all of our first-time test takers, we have excellent metrics right now. So we're at an 87.41% pass rate for first-time test takers. That's very high. And we do attribute our incredible support system and the Rally the Pass for achieving this high level of bar success. Okay, the last section of this process is the application itself. And even that can be fairly daunting. So I'm going to give you some of the fundamentals of the application process, and I'm going to give you a few tips as well. Okay, so first and foremost, all of our applications for University of Buffalo are through LSAC. Not every institution is going to follow the same application procedure, but we use LSAC. So you will need to start out by making an LSAC account, specifically an LLM account if that's your desired degree pathway. So to be eligible for admission, you need a first degree in law. You also need proof of English proficiency. This is also something that varies school by school. We do have waivers for native English speakers or people who were educated fully in English. That's all available on our website. It's a very robust policy, so I'm not going to get into it specifically. If you have questions, I'm more than happy to answer them personally. But English proficiency is either IELTS, TOEFL, or Duolingo. These tests have to be less than 2 years old at the time of submission, and we do have minimum scores that are required. It behooves you to know this early so that you can plan, so that you can also make sure that you have the exact score that you need to be considered. We're also going to require you to subscribe to LSAC's Credential Assembly Service. This is called CAS. This is where they aggregate all of your materials on the LSAC platform. Foreign trained attorneys also have to subscribe to the ITAES evaluation service. This is the in-house credential evaluation service. It's very similar to a WES or an ACRO, but it's by LSAC. So this is how our admissions committee, who are predominantly faculty, can know how you succeeded in your academic undergraduate studies. All transcripts have to be official transcripts, and they have to be sent by your registrar to LSAC. You're going to need some recommendation letters. 2 to 3 is a good number. Make sure that at least one is academic in nature. Now, we understand that you may be out of academia for a long time. If that's not available to you, they should be professional letters from a supervisor or somebody that's worked with you in the legal or professional setting. We're also going to be looking for a personal statement. We'll get a little bit more into this after. Personal statements are important, but they also are so broad that we don't necessarily know what to do or how to do it. So we'll get into that. And professional resume. So let's start with the professional resume. Across all of the people participating in this webinar today, I would bet that you all have different resume formats. Some of you may even be using a CV, right? At the University of Buffalo, as I mentioned, the faculty make up the majority of our admissions committee. So when you are applying, you have to have a document that makes sense to an attorney who is a practicing faculty member. We have put a template or several templates on our website. Highly recommend that you utilize one of our templates so that you can streamline the information on your resume and have something that is easily accessible and understandable to the faculty committee members. This is a very important tip. Streamline your resume, follow the known styles, show them something that they don't have to scrutinize. Let's put it that way. Your personal statement is also something very important. Your personal statement should fill in the blanks that your resume has not provided. Resume are data points, right? It gives us the black and white of what you have done and when you have done it. But the personal statement is the opportunity for you to give us an authentic perspective. Share with us why you're interested in law. Share with us, the inspiration for your study. Be creative. This is how you leave an impression with your words. It's also very important that you make sure your grammar, your structure, and your argumentation is sound in your personal statement. Because yes, it's a reflection of you, it's your authentic perspective and voice, but it's also evaluated for writing. These programs are heavily reliant on legal writing. We want to make sure that you have that capacity when you're coming in. We'll keep it moving, but I think those are two really important things to consider, your personal statement and your resume. One more thing that I want to add is that I'm going to get many questions, I'm sure, of what should I be doing? What kind of things should I have on my resume to make me eligible or to put me in the best light? The truth is, there's nothing that I can tell you that is going to put you in the best light. You have to do the things that you feel enthusiastic about. We don't prioritize one experience over another. And we also don't prefer quantity over quality. So whatever you do, do your best. Make sure that it's something that you have genuine enthusiasm and interest in. Okay. So this is a brief overview of our admissions timeline. Our applications go live on September 1st. Certain programs have an early decision. Early decision is a way to have your decision by December 15th, but this is binding. So if you were to apply to a program early decision, it means 100% when you offer me admission, I am coming. For international students, we highly recommend that you have your applications in by March 1st. March 1st gives you time to navigate any visa issues. As you are thinking about applying, it is so important to manage your time appropriately because you don't want to wind up scrambling in the end for a visa appointment, for your housing, for your flights to relocate. So do it earlier. It gives you access to better scholarships as well because there's more money earlier in the cycle than later. And then the other important deadline to think about is that if you are offered a place, you need to accept your place with a tuition deposit by April 15th. One other thing that I want to mention is most universities, not all, but most universities in the United States admit on a rolling basis. So that means that we're constantly reading applications from the time that those applications go into review around early December through the end of the spring. So you apply at the timeline that works well for you, giving yourself plenty of time should you be admitted. but we don't have a hard and fast deadline. We're not going to close those applications on March 1st, but it is the priority or the soft application deadline. Okay, and the final piece about how you're going to be evaluated in the admissions process. Okay, so another word that gets tossed around a lot in the US higher education system is holistic review. Okay, holistic review means that there's not one part of your application that's prioritized over another in terms of value, right? So when people are asking me, what should I do? What should I focus on? That's a really hard question to answer because we're looking at everything. So we're going to be looking at how you performed in your undergraduate studies, but we're also going to be looking at how do you write about yourself? What experiences have you had that show up on your resume? Have you participated in internships? Have you participated in clubs? Do you like volunteer service and engage in that, right? There's so many facets to this application that all are important and valuable. We're also going to be looking at your letters of recommendation. What do the faculty members of your institution say about you, right? As I mentioned, our committee are predominantly faculty members. So they take what your academic recommenders have to say about you very seriously. And when you're thinking about letters of recommendation, prioritize people that you have a strong connection with. Don't go for the person who has the highest title, like your vice chancellor of your university. That's a great recommendation to have if they know you personally. But if not, you might want to opt for the faculty that you had the best experience in their class with, the faculty member that you made a strong intellectual connection with. That will give us a better perspective about who you are as we're evaluating your application. So this is the general idea behind the holistic evaluation. Of course, the stronger your undergraduate GPA, the higher your likelihood of merit-based scholarship. But of course, there's lots of factors in this process. Okay, and then the last thing that's very important is how much is this going to cost me? What kind of investment am I looking at? So the other facet to being a state school that I haven't mentioned is that the state school status means that we are a public university and we have backing from the state. It brings the cost of attendance down significantly, especially in comparison to a private institution. So all of our international students are considered non-New York State residents, and that means that you're paying a tuition rate of $32,100. For an LLM, it's a one-year program, so it means that $32,100 for 1 year of study for one LLM program. There are some fees that are put by semester, totaling for the entire year around $3,000. Okay. But, and this is very important, we have an extremely generous scholarship budget. Over 90% of our 2025 LLM admits were offered a scholarship. Over 90%, right? So when you factor in scholarship, it reduces the tuition load significantly. There's no separate application required for scholarship consideration. Your application is your scholarship consideration. The average scholarship is around $8,500. However, scholarships vary. You might be looking at 30% to 60% of the cost of your tuition. We don't have full scholarships. That's very uncommon for full academic scholarships. Tuition scholarships in the United States, especially in the LLM category, but we have very healthy and generous scholarships. One more tip that I will give you, and I hope I don't regret it, is that at the University of Buffalo School of Law, you can negotiate your scholarship. Negotiating your scholarship, you have to argue as an attorney for why you have more merit to get more scholarship. You can use facts, you can use offers from other programs, and we have a formal scholarship negotiation process. And of course, I'm happy to tell you more about that, or you can find it on our website as well. But yes, we want to encourage you to practice your negotiation skills as attorneys. This can be fun, right? So the final piece before we get into any questions is yes, housing is important. We have on-campus housing options that are professional apartments. We have a wide variety right on campus, but we also have lots of off-campus housing. The cost of living in Buffalo is very accessible. It is much less expensive than, say, a Manhattan or a Los Angeles. And it usually is very friendly to students seeking student housing. Like I mentioned, we have a large university community, we have a large international community, and we all connect to help you as you're navigating the housing piece. So if you were offered a place, there are lots of options for where to live. Okay, now we can open it up to questions, and I look forward to hearing from you.
Catherine, thank you for your time. Really appreciate that. There have been a few questions come in, mostly around Buffalo and what it's like to live in New York State. I think you've kind of covered it already, but one of the things I want to talk about is the diversity within the region. There will be many people that are watching from different cultures, different backgrounds that will be worried and perhaps concerned that, moving to another home outside of your country, to a country you've never been to before, don't know a lot about, can be daunting. But how important is it to point out that actually there's quite a lot of different cultures within the area?
Yeah, there's so many cultures within the area. Um, Buffalo is a really interesting city. In the early 2000s, it became a center for refugee relocation. So we have so many vibrant populations that have helped to rebuild the city because they've been moved here from their home country. But we also have this incredibly large university, right? The university has over 32,000 students, and at any given time, 20% can be international, right? So we're in the business of welcoming international students to the region. In terms of the communities themselves, I find that there are tons of vibrant and different communities that have been here for a long time. And international students or domestic students interface with them depending on where they live. They're your neighbors, essentially. Buffalo is often called the city of good neighbors. I didn't make that up. That's one of our monikers. And we pride ourselves in being friendly and being helpful, and for making you feel welcome. So I think that that's an important question, but I think that you would find comfort if you chose Buffalo.
If I can just briefly as well, I'm just conscious of time, so I don't want to go too much longer, maybe 5 more minutes. But let's talk about the power of AI because there are a lot of people that use AI, and I would encourage anyone to use it
Yeah.
to help you. Um, but how important is it that students don't use it to replace them? Instead, they're using it as a guide.
Yeah, that's so important. I'm so glad you brought that up. This is a huge topic lately. University of Buffalo School of Law does have an AI policy. We strongly discourage students from using AI as a replacement for thinking. And in fact, it could be a disqualifier if we feel that your personal statement has been written by AI, because we want to hear your words. We don't want to use AI's perspective. That being said, AI is a transformational tool. It isn't going away. In fact, it's refining. And you can use it to refine your thought, to clarify. I believe that many of our faculty are encouraging students to come up with an outline, to put their thoughts down, and then to run it through AI for another perspective. Don't use it as a shortcut, use it as a support. That's how we would
Yeah.
view that.
Again, I would encourage any students that are watching. I want to stay on that theme. When you're writing your personal statement, it's so important. And, pushing forward your resume to the admissions team, because ultimately we're all going to be using AI in our lives moving forward. There's no hiding from that. But it's not a representation of who you are if you're using technology. And I think that's what Catherine's trying to say there is just make sure you're true to yourself, make sure that everything that you're putting in writing is you, but use it to help, not to replace. Um, and just finally, Catherine, one final question from me would be the option to study online. If they're studying on campus, what does the learning look like? What the classroom size like? Because you've mentioned over 30,000 students at Buffalo University, but what are the classes like within the law school?
Yeah, that's a great question and an important one. So the university is massive, the School of Law is small. So the Faculty of Law only has a maximum 500 students. So 30,000 students across the university, 500 in law. And that's because it's a very personalized instruction. The New York State Bar requires in-person classes, right? So we're going to keep it small so that the classroom learning is comfortable and that you have connection with your faculty. We're currently at a 5-to-1 ratio for faculty to student. So that's very small. So when I said that
Yeah.
your curriculum and your classes are bespoke, I was meaning that very literally.
Yeah, I think that's a great ratio, by the way, as well. I think that's a nice blend of not being too personal and not being too one-on-one, and not big enough to kind of be out of place. We speak to many law schools and they're huge, and I won't name them, but we probably know who they are. They're so big, and there's so many students there. They're kind of left to the studies on their own, which is not what anyone wants. Just one final point from me then, Catherine. Students want to apply and they're interested. I know you showed us a slide earlier with the admissions dates on there in terms of
Yes.
when enrollment dates are. How long can a student expect that process to take from, say they're interested today? How long will that take over the next few weeks to go, yeah, you're coming here?
Sure. So our applications open for the following fall enrollment in September, right? So right now, our application is open for fall of 26. We don't start reading our applications until early December. Some people are very eager and enthusiastic. They want to get that
Yeah.
application in right away. We've got them. We're sitting on them. Come December, we will start reading them. From the time that they go into review to the time that you have your answer, we'll put it that way, is generally 3 to 4 weeks. It's a pretty quick turnaround. And as I mentioned before, all of our offers of admission are coupled with your scholarship. So you'll know that you're offered admission. You'll also know how much money we're offering you at the same time.
I've been a student before. Um, there is nothing worse than having to wait and feel like you have to be patient. I've been there myself, but I
Sure,
promise you, everybody within every admissions team around the USA wants to help you as much as possible. And it's not just
exactly.
the teams that are on the ground, it's the teams. I mean, Catherine herself was in India last week, speaking to prospective students from India. So, they're getting about, they're doing their very best. Catherine, thank you for your time. Really appreciate
Yes.
that. Hope to see you again next year. If anyone's missed anything, please head over to LLM Study. The whole presentation will be in there. But for now, thank you very much. Take care. Bye bye.
Thank you so much. Bye.